I've heard virtually every defense possible for white terrorists in this country. But COVID made me do it is a new one. The family of this killer, let's put him up for this mass murderer, they are now saying that obviously it was COVID that led to him murdering 10 people, wounding 3. Relatives of Buffalo supermarket slaughter suspect are copying the COVID defense, telling the Post on Monday that the teen likely snapped because of his paranoia and isolation due to the pandemic. All right. So the killer, his name is Payton Gendron. They added that they had no clue that their cousin, their family member, was a white supremacist, and said he clearly needed help after threatening his high school classmates almost a year ago, although they aren't sure if he ever got it. Now, remember, I said this yesterday. This killer, this terrorist, had a history of violence. Now, we know about a couple of instances where he has threatened to kill other people, okay? We know about that. Those are the things you know on the record. Those things are part of the narrative. I guarantee you there are countless other moments in his history that are not on the record for our discussion. The family goes on to say, and I quote, "I have no idea how he could have gotten caught up in this. I blame it on COVID." That's a literal quote from the relative of this murderer. Her name is Sandra Komarov, 68-year-old cousin of the mom of the killer. The mom's name is Pamela, referring to the teen's alleged hate-fueled rampage that left 10 black people dead at a Tops Friendly Market on Saturday. Another quote, "He was very paranoid about getting COVID. Extremely paranoid, to the point that his friends were saying he would wear the hazmat suit to school," she said. "And then he got COVID just a few weeks ago. He went to family functions with the respirator mask on." Now remember, once again, why are they doing this interview? They're doing this interview to present a defense. Now, initially we heard it's mental health. That's the defense. Even news anchors were asking this ridiculous question. I showed you on my show yesterday that this killer literally saw a white guy screaming for his life and said, "Oh, sorry," left the white guy to go and murder more black people. That's called intention. That's called will. That's called awareness of what you're doing. A racially motivated terrorist attack in the United States of America. It's clear. So his family goes on this interview and they say, "Well, listen, we're going to say it was COVID. We can't claim he didn't know what he was doing. We cannot claim that this was a mental health issue. We cannot claim he did not know right from wrong. We cannot claim that he was somehow just a victim of someone else, but we're going to claim that it was in fact COVID-19 that made him do this." There's more. The cousin added that Gendron had bought into COVID fear. That's the only way to say it. "And when you're home all day on the internet, you're missing out on human contact," Sandra said. "There's a lot of emotions and a lot of body language you're not getting as when you see their face." Her husband, Dave Komarov, added, and I quote, "Well, in theory, COVID could have affected what they call the lizard brain, and part of the brain that controls aggression. I can't say it's impossible, but maybe that would happen one out of so millions of times." Do you see what's happening here? They are literally launching a public defense that he was radicalized by COVID, that COVID did all of this. COVID made him racist. COVID made him purchase the weapons. COVID made him illegally modify the weaponry to maximize his kills. COVID made him write and release the manifesto. COVID is the enemy here, according to members of this killer's family. You notice They don't talk about the radicalization from the right. They're not talking about the white nationalists of the world who have promoted the propaganda of replacement theory, the great replacement theory that this killer believed in. They're not talking about how racism in this country has destroyed the soul or what was left of it in this nation. They are being an apologist for this terrorist. They want people to believe, well, this has nothing to do with racism. This has nothing to do with racial indoctrination. This has nothing to do with his hatred. This has nothing to do with his activity. This has everything to do with COVID. Blame it on COVID. And here's what's ironic. There are people on social media already buying it. I would not be surprised if this defense did not permeate into an actual jury trial. You see, one of the highlights of privilege in this country is that typically white people can have legal defenses that black people cannot. Alonzo, thoughts here, brother?
Wow, there's so much here. First of all, let me tell you, so as a comedian, and I'm not making light of the murder of 10 people, but I'm just saying, as a comedian, given this, you wouldn't come up with that defense as a joke. You wouldn't come up with, well, COVID made me do it. Like that's how ridiculous this is. But as you said, this will be taken seriously. And I'm gonna touch on another thing. You talked about it being talked about on social media. I haven't looked, but I can guarantee you there's a GoFundMe for this guy. Guarantee you people are sending this guy money because he's the victim. The irony of them using COVID is through the entire COVID pandemic, the right wing was denying COVID. That like you're denying it exists, and then this guy murders 10 people, and you're like, oh, well, COVID affected him. Wait, but you said COVID wasn't real. So how did it affect it? But as you said, in these cases, these defenses, they don't matter. They actually set up the defense the best they can. From the very beginning, when the story, the headline was alleged racially motivated killing, and it's like, wait a minute. White guy goes to a black neighborhood, goes to a grocery store, kills 10 black people, and you're like, allegedly a racial motive. So right from the start, they sort of downplay this, and the funny thing, and when I say funny, I mean ironic and utterly ridiculous thing about this replacement theory is these are the same people who fight critical race theory, except that critical race theory is real. Like it actually happened. The racism is part of the fabric of this country, as you said, part of the soul of this country, unfortunately. Replacement theory is made up. It's a fantasy that comes from Fox News and QAnon and whatever, and yet they consider that one real. So there's really, the problem with this, and I understand your job, and I get called on to talk about it too. We have to give this time to talk about, which gives credibility to the utterly ridiculous. It's utterly ridiculous, and it's one more situation like, okay, let's reverse it. A black 18-year-old goes to a white neighborhood, kills 10 white people, and then says, COVID made me do it. Rashad, how far would that story go?
Exactly, nowhere.
Right. And when I laugh, again, I'm not discounting the murder. I'm not discounting the horror. I'm not discounting the racism. I'm laughing at the utter ridiculousness of the excuses and defense for this is a murderer. And it has been proven repeatedly, it is not Muslims to be afraid of. It is not Sharia law. It is right-wing white males are the biggest terrorist murderers we have in this country.
Yeah, and I want to say this about the media. The National Association of Black Journalists, where I'm a proud member, they had to send out a statement to the Associated Press because they showed a contrast in how the AP reported on teenage black people and how they reported on teenage white people. And typically you would see a massaging of the language with a teenage white person. Well, a teenager did this, a kid did that. Teenager who's black, man, this is a man who did this. This is a criminal, alleged gang member, alleged this, that, right? There's an adulting connected to the narrative of teenagers who happen to be black. And then there's an intentional, it seems to be an intentional dynamic to make a white teenager a child again. So the National Association of Black Journalists called them out on it. Big ups to them, proud of them for that moment.